So human reasoning, week 9, module 10, objectives. To understand the importance of human reasoning. Second is to differentiate the types of human reasoning. Third, to learn the steps for moral reasoning. Introduction. So there is a scene in a Broadway play where a priest is speaking to a man at a party and is asked if he ever hears anything interesting in confession. The priest replies that in fact, that in the very first confession he gave after being ordained, a man admitted that he had murdered his wife. Later on in the party, another man is introduced to the priest and says, I met you a long time ago, Father. In fact, I was the first person who came to you for confession. What does the author expect you to conclude from the two previous conversations? So let us discuss first the importance of human reasoning. So human reasoning is an interesting characteristic of the human intellect because people like us by nature are able to think intuitively without restraint in such a way that a primary piece of information can be processed through reasoning to gain further understanding. Let us define what is reason. So reason is the capacity for consciously making sense of things, establishing and verifying facts, applying logic, and changing or justifying practices, institutions, and beliefs based on new or existing information. Now let's define human reasoning. Human reasoning is our sense of obligation to do what is right, even if we do not want to do it. So it is our ability to reason is an important part of who we are and how we make sense of the world around us, as well as how we form relationships and interact with others. Reasoning is when we investigate and explain why something is correct. It also involves testing and proving your results. Now, in relevant to human reasoning, there are different types of human reasoning. So we have what we call the deductive reasoning. It uses syllogism. Inductive reasoning, it uses nonverbal sequences and number sequences. And abductive reasoning. So let's start with deductive reasoning or logic. So it starts out with a general statement or hypothesis and examines the possibilities to reach a specific logical conclusion. So that is according to California State University. It is also when you take two true statements or premises to form a conclusion. Let me give you an example. Example, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, therefore A is equal to C. Another one, all numbers ending in 0 or 5 are divisible by 5. The number 35 ends with a 5, so it must be divisible by 5. So in this example, you can actually notice that there are two statements or premises that was given. This is a statement 1. This is a statement 2. Therefore, this is our conclusion. As well as with the second example, all numbers ending in 0 are divisible by 5. This is the first statement. The number 35 ends with a 5. This is the second statement. Therefore, we can conclude, so 35 must be divisible by 5. Another example of deductive reasoning and logic. Okay, so we have here the statement or the premise number 1. All ostriches are birds. In statement number 2, Carlos is an ostrich. Therefore, we can conclude that Carlos is a bird. This is what we call syllogism. Syllogism, we use two premises or two statements leading to what we call conclusion. Next, okay, let's move on to the second. The second types of reasoning, we have the inductive reasoning. So in inductive reasoning, it makes broad generalizations from specific observations. So inductive reasoning begins with observations that are specific and limited in scope and proceeds to a generalized conclusion that is likely but not certain in light of accumulated evidence. You can actually notice that on this diagram, in deductive reasoning, it is from general principle to special case or specific. In inductive reasoning, that is from special case or specific going to general principle. So let me give you an example in inductive reasoning. Mark shows a golden ring to his friend Paul. Mark said he will marry Martha. Therefore, Paul thinks Martha will receive the ring. The second example, I normally leave work after 6 p.m. and I am usually able to avoid traffic as long as I leave work after 6 p.m. I will always miss the traffic. Now, on this statement, there are some loopholes. The first statement is specific. Mark shows a golden ring to his friend, Paul. The second statement is another specific one. Mark will marry Martha. Therefore, the conclusion is that Paul thinks Martha will receive the ring. Okay, so let us take a look on the comparison between deductive and inductive reasoning. So in deductive, it goes from the general to the particular. In inductive, it goes from particular to the general. So example, all metal expand when they are heated. So this is the general idea. Next, the conclusion, therefore, this metal will expand when heated. When I heat it, okay? In inductive, they use specific example. So metal A expand when heated, metal B expand when heated. Therefore, the conclusion is metals expand when heated. So you can actually see that in deductive method, the conclusion is more certain comparing to inductive method where there is less certainty. But the advantage of inductive method is it is more informative since your conclusion is basically based from specific information, just like this one. And deductive is less informative since your statement is already generalized. The third type of reasoning is what we call abductive reasoning. Abductive reasoning usually starts with an incomplete set of observations and proceeds to the likeliest possible explanation for the group of observations. That is according to Butte College in California. Abductive reasoning is often used by doctors who make diagnoses based on test results and by jurors who make decisions based on the evidence presented to them. So let us discuss the example of abductive reasoning. So first example, a person walks into their living room and finds torn up papers all over the floor. The person's dog has been alone in the room all day. The person concludes that the dog tore out the papers because it is the most likely scenario. The second example, you wake up in the morning and you see that your roommate has left, but you see a half-eaten food in the kitchen. Then you abduce that he left early. What is the difference between abductive and the deductive and inductive? In abductive reasoning class, the reasoning skills focus on the one side. only. Why? Why it is one-sided? Because they prefer to conclude the situation based on what they only see, based on what they saw on the situation. The abductive reasoning, it can also cause to what we call fallacious reasoning. So fallacies are mistaken beliefs based on unsound arguments. So they are derived from reasoning that is logically incorrect, just like the abductive reasoning, thus undermining our argument's validity. Now, there are different types of policies. The first types of policies is what we call the ad hominem. An ad hominem argument is often a personal attack on someone's character or motive rather than an attempt to address the actual issue at hand. An example of ad hominem is what we call to quoque. To quoque is a Latin word for you also. You can actually notice that on this example, so what if I did it? You did it too. So the Coco policy is claiming that someone's argument must be false because it's not consistent with their past actions or words. The second type of policies is we have appeal to authority. So appeal to authority policy, it is insisting that a claim is true simply because a valid authority or expert on the issue said it was true without any other supporting evidence offered. So that is similar to those TV ads and commercials we usually see in television. So for this example, Colgate is considered as the #1 brand recommended by dentists. And we believe that it is recommended by dentists. That's the main reason why Colgate, most of the people they prefer to use this brand. Another one is the Lancome. So Lancome is one of the most expensive brand when it comes to makeup and skincare. And because Julia Roberts is a famous actress in Hollywood and in different parts of the globe, that's the main reason why we can consider that this product is really effective. Similar to this one, class, is what we call the bandwagon fallacy. Bandwagon fallacy, also known as appeal to popularity, occur when a proposition is claimed to be true or good solely because many people believe it to be so. Example, all my friends are doing a low-carb diet. That must be the only way to lose weight. So you can actually notice that because most of his friends or her friends are doing this kind of diet, so he or she believe that that is the only effective way to lose weight. Now let's move on, class, to the steps in making moral and ethical decisions. So there are 7 steps to help you make a better decision. The first step, stop and think. It prevents rash decisions. It prepares us for more thoughtful discernment and can allow us to mobilize our discipline. Second, clarify goals. Before you choose, clarify your short-term and long-term aims. The third step, class, is to determine facts. So be sure you have adequate information to support an intelligent choice. Fourth is develop actions. Once you know what you want to achieve and have made your best judgment as to the relevant facts, make a list of action you can take to accomplish your goal. The fifth step is you need to consider the consequences. Filter your choices to determine if any of your options will violate any core ethical values, and then eliminate any unethical options. Identify who will be affected by the decision and how the decision is likely to affect them. The sixth step is choose. Make a decision. If the choice is not immediately clear, try. Try talking to people whose judgment you respect. Seek out relevant assistance, guidance, and support. Seventh, monitor and modify. Ethical decision makers monitor the effects of their choices. If they are not producing the intended results or are causing additional unintended and undesirable results, they reassess the situations and make new decisions. And always remember, do not be afraid to do something just because you're scared of what people are going to say about you. People will judge you no matter what. And in every situation, there is a choice. You choose how people affect your life. You choose how to react to situation. You choose to be on the right path or a wrong one. There is always a choice, and it's your choice how to live your life.